Squid Game Season 2. Is it as good as Season 1? If you've not watched it all the way through, please go away and watch it before you watch this, because I'm going to be spoiling the hell out of it. When I first saw Season 2 was coming out for Squid Game, I thought, what is the point? Season 1 was fantastic, incredible, one of the best seasons of TV I've ever watched. Many people would agree with that. But once you remove the shock value, once you remove certain things, once you repeat the games again, will it hit the same? Why on earth would he go back into the games? He survived. He's a billionaire now. Why would he do that? And those are the questions that I was asking. But then when I watched this season, yeah, it was worth it. It was well worth it. And I'm really, really excited to see what they do next, because as I said, spoilers in this video, it ends with a cliffhanger. So it's going to be a season 3. Who knows? Maybe a season 4. I'm here for it now. I'm very much invested. The fact that season 2's hit, not just, just under season 1, in my opinion, at the same level. Please leave a comment down below what you thought of it. Is it better than season 1 straight off the bat? Let me know. So first thing I want to talk about is the story. The story, as I said, I wasn't sure on it. I wasn't sure on what they would possibly do here to match the story in the first season. A struggling person, gambler, in debt, had a lot of things going wrong in his life, finds a way out by going into these games, ends up winning the games, and it's like, wow, that was a lot. That's what a lot of people were saying at the end of season 1. But then when you watch season 2, this was a lot. This was so clever how they did similar things but did them differently, but also did similar things and added in other elements to make it completely different. The voting system, unreal addition into the show, kind of just like shone a light onto it even more. The people that are willing to risk their life once again for another game. It was just so clever, like the voting system in it, and also adding in our antagonist into the game. Yeah, the person who runs the games is now in the game, and you thought you could read that and be like, we've done this before, like why does this matter? But that just created such like a dramatic irony. Obviously the audience knew who that was, but our characters in there didn't. So when you're noticing different things or seeing him say certain things at different times, or the way he looks, we know more, and that just created such a beautiful element. And even though that our protagonist has gone in there, the main character has gone in there thinking he knows it all, he doesn't know the games. He doesn't know the person sitting beside him is the person who created the whole thing. It created such a cool dynamic in the show, as well as the B story of the police officer and the crew on the boats trying to find the island themselves. And then the actual story, is it the B story? Probably the C story. You've got a different dynamic of now knowing somebody as the henchman, as the person in the pink suits. You now know one of them and how their brains work. Just all these different dynamics going through my head watching it. It's like the story was so well written and connected, and well worth a season 2 is what I'm trying to say. So well done for creating season 2. I was wrong. Put my hands up. I just want to make a quick reference to the music again in this season. I think music in season 1 was phenomenal. I mean, the main one that rings a bell, episode 1 or episode 2, was it Fly Me to the Moon? Like that sequence there was beautiful. They did it again here, but again, it was the same things, just different. The scene in particular, I want to talk about how the music was just used so well, and the people that make this show are just so well tuned in what should go where. I feel like it just works. Was the Russian roulette sequence, and yeah, that both of them in episode 1, and I believe episode 2 did it go into, I can't remember now, but episode 1 specifically definitely had it, of the Russian roulette sequence. I just thought it was used so perfectly. Like I was on the edge of my seat, not just because of the acting and like how messed up the scene was, but the music added so much to it. That's what I think, when you create media in any way, shape or form, music is such an important role in it. And I think Squid Game and like the people that make it just hit the nail on the head every single time. Even just like the kids' songs when they're doing the game, like the carousel one where they go round for the mingle game. That song slapped, I just think all of it was really, really well done once again in the music. I just wanted to have a little conversation about that very, very quickly. The characters this season. So there's actually a lot they can do, and you kind of know who's going to be the characters that we're going to be seeing predominantly in the game. We were introduced to Thanos. We were introduced to the crypto fraud person. We were introduced to the mum and son. I thought they were incredible. We were introduced to the trans woman. I thought they were incredible. Like that whole story there was done so perfectly, in my opinion. You can't help but like just feel everything they wanted you to feel. Do you know what I mean? Like the writing there was felt so true and so beautifully written. But there's so many people in this season that you were invested in that were so different. That's what I really like about Squid Game. I think the characters that are written in it aren't just basic characters. They've all got a little bit of depth to them to different degrees, and I think they all worked really well. And I felt this season more so than last season there was this idea of a bigger like a cast of people that had bigger roles. I could have watched an episode just dedicated to that character. I genuinely could have watched an hour episode just dedicated to that character. And the goat of it all was the mum. The mum, like genuinely, every time there was like an emotional beat with her, I just felt it. It might be just because I'm a big old mama's boy. And so then the dynamic between them, the son and the mum, made me feel very similar. But I will be making another video going into a characters tier list where I'll probably be speaking more specifically about each character. As I mentioned before, the trans woman in this, you know, like the instant beginning bit of like, you know, the mum and other people kind of like disregarding her and being quite transphobic. And I feel like the arc of her character of, you know, being quite recluse, keeps herself to herself kind of thing, and then she eventually reveals more about herself, and then she takes charge at the end. You know, she was fired as part of the army, but then she takes charge when they are basically leading their own army out to take on the henchmen and all that stuff. I just thought it was so well written. Like every character, I felt for them instantly, like they had something to them. This is why I'm making another video about the characters, because they're just so good. Something else that was really good this season and fantastic in season 1 as well were the games. That's what the main, you know, pull, the main draw, the very like, you know, surface value thing in this show is the games. You know, Squid Game, I want to see what games they're going to do. Do you know what I mean? Of course, they bring back the classic red light, green light, this time done so differently because, of course, we know how to play the game now. You just wish that they would listen. What I really liked about it, the games weren't the same. And I thought they were definitely going to be the same, but the fact the games were different this time completely, other than the first one, of course, I thought was really good. As in, they landed, they hit. That second game, you know, the tied feet together, trying to run around 5 different in 5 minutes. I thought that was the hardest thing. Like, I know for a fact I wouldn't survive that. The spinning top, that will take me 20 minutes alone. Like, I wouldn't be making it out of there at all. No doubt in my mind, I would not be making it out of there. And let me know in the comments down below if you think you could make it out of that, because I tell you what, that was the hardest challenge I've ever seen in my life. But the mingle game, such a simple game. Just grab 2 people, grab 3 people and go into a door. And it was like this idea of like, you just knew it wasn't going to work just out of a maths thing. You know, the group of 5, the group of 4, like someone's going to get done in here and someone's not going to make it out. And if we are talking about the games, we've got to talk about the other sort of game, which is the nighttime attacks. That sequence was mental. A lot more graphic than I remember it. I don't know if people, I need to watch season 1 again. I just thought it was quite a lot. Especially like, yeah, the amount of people getting and they were just hiding under the beds. I thought that was a little bit jammy. like fair enough. You had a bigger plan, but you set your team up. Genuinely, I thought something's not going to land. You can't do it again so well. And they did. And the last thing I briefly want to touch on is the deeper meaning of the show that I kind of interpreted from it. And this isn't factual, this is just how I took it. And that's the beauty of art and media and what have you. You can interpret it in your own different way. But this is how I saw it. And I thought the exploration into humans in this was so much more powerful than the previous season, in my opinion. Just because we've got somebody in the game, our protagonist, who's so wired into trying to stop people from playing the game, whereas in the last one, you know, no one was trying to stop people because there was no option. Like the actual story of having the, you know, consent to leave if the majority vote for it created a brilliant dynamic. I think even if you just look at it from a point of view of like, you know, it was the red side and the blue side, it was the leavers and the stays, and that can be correlated to many real life, you know, different voting options. You know, we see a lot of people who go different sides start butting heads and hating each other. This was a more, you know, obvious example of, you know, one wants to live, one wants to just go in and win more money, so you might pick a side based on that. But once you hear their stories, like, as much as I wasn't agreeing with anyone picking the blue, I wasn't in their shoes, and they started to explain why they felt that they needed to do one more game. Because, you know, I thought the little conversation about that guy who's talking to the girl that's crying, saying, you're young, you can change things, I'm this old, I need this, or otherwise I have no reset of life. And like, you hear that perspective, And it should challenge, like if it didn't feel like it challenged yours, you should open your mind. Like that challenged my perspective on it. I was like, you know what? I understand. I'm not in his shoes. I understand why he wants to do one more game. And like you hear the back and forth, and then they end up really hating each other because it becomes a thing of we're the circles, we're the X's. Do you know what I mean? Like that is such a true thing to life. You know, any political time of year, whenever we see this side versus that side, it becomes just this absolutely, you know, ferocious attack on each other because you're blue and I'm red. Do you know what I mean? Because you're this and I'm that. And it was done in this way of just so simply done, of like splitting the room, having a little sticker on your chest, you know, things like that. And you know, the idea of them chasing one more game, you know, like when the piggy bank with all the money in it, and like I think they did the same in season 1, but I felt it more this season of just like the light that comes and then brought in like a moth to the light, and it kind of like it links to what the person before was saying about how these characters, these people in the game, they're not human. And like it felt like that was telling them that, you know, was validating that they are just insects, they're animals, they're moths. Like they've drawn to this money as if, you know, it's a moth to a flame, and like that. But that is humans. Like a lot of us are like that. When, you know, we're chasing this thing, we can get distracted in life by the money. You know, there's so many levels to this. Even like a little tiny thing, the protagonist goes into the game, the first game, he's walking side by side with his friend. His jacket's all creased in the back. Yeah, his jacket on his right, his friend's isn't. You know, he's been in the game before, he hasn't been in the game. And the main thing I wanted to talk about here, it's a deeper meaning, was just how similar we all are. You know, you might think of yourself here and this person here, the protagonist and the antagonist. They ain't alike. I don't know, I ain't like this person, I hate him. They're polar opposites. But when you see this whole season, they are more alike than they both give themselves credit for. You know, you can see them sort of bonding during the game, but you see them realize they're more alike. And the line that got me was when they were planning, the protagonist was planning the idea for the night to survive the attack, to be able to take the guns off the henchmen and things like that. He says, we need to sacrifice a few to make the greater good. And the antagonist says, oh, so you think, you know, losing some lives for the greater good is worth it? And what he's saying is, you know, removing these people in the game so that the world is better. Because obviously he sees the people in the game as animals and vermin, like low lives. And once they're removed, the world is a better place. So what he was saying in that moment was, so you think sacrificing a few for the greater good is worth it? And it was like, he does think that. And that's not too dissimilar to what he thinks. They just have a different reasoning for that sacrifice. I could talk for ages about this, like genuinely. Probably because I binge watched it all last night, so that's why I'm doing this video. But please let me know in the comments. I'm actually really down for a bit of discourse on this. What did you think of season 2? What was your favorite game? What was your favorite character? What was your favorite moment? With all of that, I ranked this season a 9 out of 10. So well written, so well done, and yeah, it was just fantastic. But thank you for coming through to another Floppy Legs YouTube video. I do a bunch of different things. This is only like the second review of something I've ever done. Thank you so much for coming on through, and I'll see ya when I see ya.